Hey everyone, welcome to the Buffalo Music Mafia. We have a great special for you today. We are going to be focusing in on a great show coming up to the Western New York area on this Saturday at the stage. It's going to be the Ultimate 80s Party featuring Quiet Riot and Hair Nation.
You got that right. The greatest 80s party here for the summer. This is going to be an event you don't want to miss. And we're going to tell you all about it here. We actually got a special guest with us here, and we're going to bring him in right now. None other than the guitar player from Quiet Riot, Mr. Alex Grossi.
And here he is, lead guitarist of Quiet Riot, Alex Grossi. Alex, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How you doing, man?
We're pretty excited. Quiet Riot is coming to the Buffalo, New York area. You're playing at the stage in Williamsville, New York on this
Yep.
Saturday with a special guest, Hair Nation. It's going to be the ultimate 80s party. And I can't think of any better place to be on Saturday than the stage seeing Quiet Riot and Hair Nation. What about you, Joe?
It's definitely going to be the place to be.
It will be the place to be, just like Damone says, the Fast Times at Richmond High. Wherever you are, it's the place to be. Isn't this great? Yeah, Hair Nation's awesome too. Jim Crean's a good friend of mine. He was a good rock and roll soldier, and I'm looking forward to seeing him after the whole lockdown thing. So should be a hell of a night. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, the one thing about Quiet Riot I noticed is you guys kind of been out there, kind of being guinea pigs a little bit. During the pandemic, you played a show a few months ago back when nobody was playing.
Yes, we did a show in March at a place called the Landis Theater in New Jersey, and it was scaled, down to COVID, restricted capacity, and it was sold out. It was packed. I mean, packed if you will, but spread out packed. And people went nuts. People loved it. I mean, our philosophy is the show's happening until it's not. And if we could do it safely, and the are going to behave and follow the rules, let's do it. I
Mhm.
mean, you can't sit home forever, and I'd rather die at my feet than live in my knees. It was it and actually I think coming out of this whole thing, a lot of venues and concert festivals and whatnot are going to take a lot more precaution for sanitation purposes, in the
Yeah.
future. I think some good will come out of this.
With all the downtime and everything you had in between here, what have you been working on project wise and stuff?
Well, the last year I appeared on the new Public Enemy record, believe it or not. Flavor Flav and I are friends. We go bowling a lot out here in Las Vegas, and when they were putting the final touches on the record, he had me come in and play some guitar and do some background vocals. So I've I'm on a Public Enemy record with George Clinton and Chuck D and the Beastie Boys, and I did that. And finished the Hookers and Blow cover record, which comes out next month, um, through Golden Robot Records, and started writing the next Quiet Riot record, basically working on new material with that. I mean, Frankie left behind a lot of drum tracks. So,
Wow.
we're working with that. A lot of ideas that were started before he got sick, and we're going to, kind of finish them up. And we just debuted a song called Rock and Peace. I did it on Rudy Sarzo's podcast. Rudy actually played bass on the track as well. Just a little teaser, but yeah, we've made the most out of the lockdown for sure.
Yeah,
You
th-
know,
that that song was on a record that was called Quiet Riot 10.
the song was, yeah, we basically for the most part, except for Frankie, redid the whole thing.
Hmm.
Really juiced it up and made it what we wanted it to be to begin with. But when we made 10, it was like crunch time. We didn't have a lot of time to work with it, and then it just decided to get shelved, for whatever reason. And someday it may see the light of day, but that song definitely got the treatment, and we're very happy with it.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us
And
a little bit?
it'll be on whatever the next album is.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Let's tell everyone a little bit about the current lineup of Quiet Riot. Now, you've been in the
Mm-hmm.
band since 2004.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, along with Chuck Wright, the bass player, who's actually has been in and out of Quiet Riot since pretty much
And
like.
Chuck's been in and out of the band since the early '80s. And then in 2004, the lineup of myself, Chuck, Kevin Dubrow, and Frankie Banali got together and toured, and toured until '07 when Kevin passed away.
Yeah, and
Right.
then Jizzy Pearl's in the band, and he replaced Kevin. Was he the original replacement for Kevin?
No, we had a couple singers before Jizzy, somewhere no name guys that we just auditioned. We tried to pick every angle, and it really ended up being we needed one of us to be the fourth guy, because I mean Kevin and Jizzy were friends. Kevin respected Jizzy. He's from the same upbringing on the Sunset Strip, and there's a lot of that lineage there. And at the end of the day, you gotta be with your own. You know, it's hard to pluck a guy out of obscurity and then expect him to work 10,000 people. It doesn't work that way. You
Yeah.
know, it's not anybody can sing, do a good karaoke version of the song, but to get out and do it for real is a whole different thing, you know.
Yeah.
So
And
Jizzy's a natural rock star. He's a great front man, a total pro, and he's my friend, you know. So made perfect sense.
yeah. And then Johnny Kelly from formerly from Typo Negative. He
Mhm.
was wasn't he handpicked by Frankie Banelli to like
Basically, yes. The way it worked was when when Frankie realized he wasn't going to be able to fly, yet didn't want to cancel the dates. He called me and asked me who I would suggest for a drummer, and I said Johnny Kelly. I mean, he's New York. He hits hard. He's got your same kind of bottom thing, and he's not an LA guy who's gossipy and involved in all these little cliques out there. Because you got to remember, at the time, Frankie had not gone public with his cancer, and we wanted to keep it in the family, keep it real, circle the wagons and keep it real tight knit. And Johnny, when you're from East Coast Italian New York, you know how to keep your fucking mouth shut, and Johnny's one of those guys. And Frankie liked him. I mean, every time they were in the same room together, they would be sitting there talking about drums, like drummers do. Like they hit it off. And he's family to me. I mean, he's a great guy, he's a total pro. And we share a common bond because he lost Peter Steele, his vocalist with Typo, and
Right.
myself with Kevin. So we kind of bonded over that. And Kevin, believe it or not, was a huge Typo fan on top of all that. So it's the universe kind of put it all together, and it's been great. We're very lucky to have him.
A lot of people might not know how you actually started in Quiet Riot. How did that all come about? Obviously, you said 2004 was when you joined up with the band.
Yes. Well, in 2003 I met Kevin Dubrow, and there was no Quiet Riot. They had broken up. And Kevin was doing solo shows to promote a cover record that he did, and he'd heard about me through his booking agent, who was booking a band called Beautiful Creatures that I was in. And Kevin decided we got introduced to each other. I called him, he called me. We put a set list together, and I started doing solo dates with him. And then at the end of 03, beginning of 04, I got a phone call saying, hey, do you want to be the guitarist in Quiet Riot? We're going to do it again. And I said, hell yeah. That was it. Signed the contract, and I've been, as what Kevin used to refer to as the Mullet Mafia. I've been in the Mullet Mafia ever since.
wow. How challenging was it for you to step in and play the riffs of Carlos Cavazzo?
It was very challenging. Carlos is a really, really great guitar player. I think Carlos was very underrated personally. I mean, for as big as that band was, you'd think he would have got more of the guitar hero status, because he had really cool chord voicings and not your typical, AC/DC ripoff stuff that a lot of those bands had. He had cool tone, a great tone, very, very memorable riffs, and I thought he was very underrated. And the biggest challenge to me was making sure on all the hit songs that people had heard a gazillion times to play the solos as close, to the original as possible, because people don't want to hear some dude's new interpretation of the Metal Health solo. So that was probably the biggest challenge, because those songs were played so much. But yeah, Carlos is great. I've only met him once or twice. Seems like a nice guy, and hell of a guitar player. So yeah, it was a challenge for sure.
So how do you what's your plans now for the future now with everything with Quiet Riot?
We just, the way Frankie kind of left it off was just keep the show must go on, keep it going. I mean, it's just got to, it's going to go where it's going to go. We're going to keep playing, keep writing, keep making records, keep the brand alive. And I mean, it's if you really look back and think about it, get technical, in 3 years it'll be the band's 50th anniversary.
Wow.
Since they started in 73 or 75, whatever history book you read. I mean, that's one. The Quiet Riot back then was a different Quiet Riot that obviously that was in the 80s compared to now, but it's been going on for a while and it's going to keep going,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I always I said to one of the first singers we had when he started getting uppity and puffing his chest out about how he was gonna, do whatever to the band. I'm like, dude, if Kevin Dubrow's passing away did not stop us from doing this, you're not gonna do shit. All right, we're gonna keep going. You can quit, you can cry, you can kick and scream. We'll get another singer, and we're gonna keep going because the brand is bigger than any four guys. That's a fact.
Yeah.
And you're going to see that more and more as time goes on, with people getting older and retiring, passing away. I mean, there's always going to be the college tuition for your grandkids and the cell phone bill, and that you can make money off something you help build, and create it. Why not? I would.
Yeah.
Now,
absolutely.
once Kevin did pass, unfortunately, and Frankie made the announcement that Quiet Riot was done. They weren't going to play anymore. Did you really? Did that really seem like it was it for you, or did?
Absolutely, yeah. I totally believed him. I didn't see. I didn't see it happening, just because it was so sudden and he was so devastated, and we all just went our separate ways. And but I also at the same time I just jumped right into another gig. Frankie just stopped playing altogether, and people like us, it's all we've done our whole lives. It's what we do. I mean, you can't just stop doing what you do one day and I think he took him a couple of years, but he realized that. It's what he does. It's not just playing the drums, it's being involved in booking the shows and the business and the camaraderie and the creative aspect of it. It's all we know, it's like it's what we're built for. So why not do it?
I kind of had an idea it was going to happen because I noticed like a couple years after Kevin passed, Frankie was like commenting a lot on like your post and on Chuck's post. And I kind of thought to myself, man, those guys are getting really chummy again. I wonder what's going to happen.
We got in the room, and actually the way Frankie quote came out of retirement was one of the times he came down to a Hookers and Blow show in Hollywood and played a bunch of songs with us, and he was having so much fun. It was me, Chuck was there, a bunch of people were. Gene Simmons was there. It was just a big conglomerate of a Saturday night in Hollywood, and I think he realized how much he missed being behind a drum set and breaking a sweat and having fun with his buddies. It's like I said, it's what we do. And around 2009 2010 we kind of all healed, and we decided, let's go for it. But there was that big elephant in the room of, okay, but we need to find a singer, and we're replacing, Kevin was one of a kind.
Yeah.
It's he was not it's not an easy gig to take, for sure.
Yeah, and I think you have the perfect, and maybe the only person that could really replace him right now
He
in
is.
Jizzy
He
Pro.
in all honesty, he is, because he much like Kevin had his own thing. He didn't care what people thought of him. He could hit the notes, and he was highly intelligent. I mean, Kevin was very smart. He knew how to write. He knew how to read a room very well and work a room very well, whether it's 10 people or 10,000 people. And Jizzy's like that too. He's a national frontman, just like Kevin was. So, yeah, there's. I mean, believe me, we combed the earth. Believe me, and we came right back to home. There's Jizzy.
All right, so you have a new Hookers and Blow album you kind of touched on at first. Tell us all about how that came about and exactly who's playing on it and all that good stuff.
I mean, Hookers and Blow is a cover band, so obviously it's a cover record. And we just decided, after 17 years of doing it, let's just record some of this stuff. And we got a record deal and went in the studio and did I think we did 12 songs. And they're all over the map. I mean, it's Body Count to David Bowie to Zeppelin to Beastie Boys. It's crazy. It came out sounding really, really good. I'm very proud of it. Frankie actually played 2 Zeppelin songs on it. Let's see who else played on it. Mike Duda from Wasp played bass on it. John Kelly from Typo and Quiet Riot now, obviously. We had a pretty eclectic group of songs, and we were able to capture the way we did them on tape at the studio. So I'm glad people are gonna finally get to hear it.
Yeah. It's a cool band name, but did you find yourself where, at times it had like negative consequences calling a band Hookers and Blow?
Oh, there were many a times where we got a phone call about a month before the show saying they were going to cancel or we had to change the name. Because not because they hated it, because they were getting like Red Stripe beer to sponsor the show and they wouldn't put their logo next to ours. To which my response was, that's fine. You can take our logo off the poster, but we're going to show up in a 45-foot bus with a logo on it right in front of your club. So, and good luck towing us. So,
Yeah.
that was, yeah, go ahead. We're still going to wear the shirts. We're still going to call ourselves Hookers and Blow. It's anyone who gets offended at that, they got to get out more.
Right on. I'm forward to the show on Saturday. I've checked out your set list, and my question is, how do you guys come up with your set list? I mean, you're obviously going to play the hits and everything, but
Yeah.
you have room to bring in some of those like songs that should have been hits but weren't hits.
Yeah, we've been. It's funny you mentioned that. Last night we had a phone meeting about changing a couple things up. A lot of it has to do with how long you're going to play for and what the energy in the room is. If it's a festival, you want to go bam, 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 and just hit, hit, hit. If it's a club where you're headlining and you have more time to stretch out, then you can talk to the crowd more and engage it more and pick different songs. So we've got about 3 different types of sets we work with, and depending on the audience is what Jizzy will call out. And Kevin was the same way. Kevin would, we'd pick the first 3 songs and we knew we were closing with the hits, but in the middle, if he was feeling something or somebody yelled out a song, we go for it. It's not, we're not playing to tracks so we can play whatever. We're not chained to a track, backing tracks or any of that like a lot of bands are, so we can put on a real show.
Yeah,
Nice.
no backing tracks. The last 2 studio records you put out, I thought were really good. I hope that, you're gonna play like at least a song from one of those. Like I always thought Freak
Um,
Flag was a great song.
yeah, there was some good stuff on there. Yeah, it was it's hard because no matter what, with new music, with these bands, like fans like yourself want to hear it, but when you're doing casinos and fairs and festivals, you got to really pepper the hits in right away to keep people's attention. At club dates and stuff, when it's more intimate and there's more hardcore fans there, we will bust that stuff out. And yeah, I had a lot of fun making the last 2 records. They captured out a certain moment in time, and I hope to be able to continue that, because there's a lot of bands of the genre that don't believe in making new music. And I think once you start doing that, then you really become a nostalgia dinosaur act. Even if one person buys it, the fact that you're still being creative like you were when you were 18 just goes to show that you're a real musician, a real artist.
Right.
And that's a lot of musicians have different opinions on that. So it's good to hear your take on it, because a lot of
Yeah.
people have the opposite effect for whatever reason. I guess everybody's entitled to their opinion.
A lot of guys say, well, no one buys music anymore. It's like, yeah, but on the flip side, you can make a record for $5,000 now. In the 90s, you had to spend a couple $100,000 to make a real good sounding record. Now you can do that for $5,000. So yeah, no one might buy it, but you're not spending $200,000 either. So that fails to come up in that argument usually. So
Yeah, I agree. I would agree with you, Alex. I think that, as soon as you stop being creative, you're no longer an artist anymore. You're just like,
yeah.
you're just like a cog in the machine, doing the
Well,
same thing over and over again.
people look at us on the internet. Oh, it's a cover band. Dude, they have no idea. They have no idea what I do, what we all do. We're not doing Quiet Riot. This is just the same as it's one of many things that we all do, and that's what's great about being an artist is you can branch out and do other things. You're not chained to one thing. I mean, actually, I've been reading Jizzy's book here. It's called Unhappy Endings.
Oh yeah.
If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. If you have a weak stomach, I do not recommend it. But he's a writer. We call him Edgar Allan Pearl. So he's got his outlets, and with Hookers and Blow, that's my like tongue in cheek because comedy type thing we do, because it's more all about having fun, that thing. And then everyone does different stuff, so it's not just one dimensional. And I think if you just show up and play the hits and go home and don't do anything else artistic, then you're not really an artist. You're just kind of going through the motions, I think,
Mhm. All right. Well,
but that's just me.
yeah, no, I agree with you, Joe. I'm sure you do also, right?
Well, I've been talking to some artists lately, and I just actually did an interview with somebody else and I heard the opposite. So it's like, everybody has their own take, and that's just whatever it means to
Oh
them.
yeah, whatever way, you know what I always say, whatever works for you. If that works for
Yeah.
you, great. I'm not going to argue about it. I don't care. Just like
Right.
I don't, I don't, tell you how to do your job. Don't tell me how to do mine.
That
That's because everyone does things differently.
exactly.
I see you have quite a few axes behind you. You wouldn't happen to
I'm in my
have,
studio right now, actually. Yeah.
you wouldn't happen to have the guitar that you played with at the in-store we had back at the Wall back in the 90s when you were with Angry Salad. Do you remember that? You had a brand new
In-store.
guitar. Yeah, in Buffalo,
Was
New
it?
York.
You know what? I do have it. However, it looks a little different now.
Does it?
Yeah, it used to be pink, right?
Pink, right? Yep. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
It was this color pink. I
Right.
had a couple of
That's,
them.
I thought that was it actually when I was
That's
looking.
not it. No, what I did was I sent it back to the company because it had a great sound, but I didn't need two pink guitars, so I had them put the
Oh,
Hookers and Blow logo
wow.
on it. Yeah,
Oh,
that's the guitar though. That's the one.
I remember you were so excited about that. You just recently,
It's still my favorite guitar out of
is it
all
really?
these. Yep, it just sounds the best. But yeah, this is it.
Wow.
Yep.
how many guitars do you have altogether, roughly? If you
That's a
can't
good question. I don't know. I have about a dozen that I use between recording and touring. And then I have stuff in storage that's, more collectible stuff that you really wouldn't bring out on the road.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, they're all kind of the same. I endorse Paul Reed Smith guitars. They've been with them since '97,
Wow.
and they've been great to me. So I stick with them, and you know, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel or anything. So they're all pretty much tuned the same pickups, everything.
What do you have the guitar there we're gonna see and at the stage on Saturday?
I do, but it's in
Oh, it's in the other.
luggage. It's all packed up. Yeah,
Gotcha. All right. We'll just
yeah,
have to. Everyone will just have to wait till Saturday to see that guitar. I'm
yeah,
sure it's gonna be amazing. Yes. Awesome.
yeah. It's
Well,
already halfway across the country.
good, good. So Alex, thank you very much for your time. We're really looking forward to the show. I've been looking forward to this since you announced it like months ago. It was like the first concert announced for summer of 2021, and that's all I could think about for until now. I can't wait to see it finally.
I really appreciate it. And
So there he is,
cool.
everyone. Alex from Quiet Riot, and everyone watching in Buffalo and the Western New York area, make sure you come down to the stage this Saturday to see Quiet Riot and Hair Nation. Alex, thank you again.
Thank you.
All right,
Right.
see ya. Bye.
Thank you.